Hey guys, welcome back. It's been a while, and today's video is going to be a little different than usual. I'm not doing anything, I'm just going to talk to you guys. I was going to do a video about where I talked about all the cars that I've had. However, that I quickly realized is going to be a very long video. So what we'll do is, I was going to do a mini series where I release a different video about each different car that I've owned. I'll talk about it quickly, explain what I liked, what I didn't, what was good about the car, what was bad, and for how long I've owned it maybe. So the first car that I bought with my own money was a 96 Mazda Protege DX. Now the name might be like, oh, DX, that's the deluxe model. Let's just say there was nothing deluxe about that car. It was actually the base model of a Mazda Protege. It had 13-inch steel wheels. It was a 5-speed. I had doors and windows, but it was crank windows. No air conditioning, no CD player, no airbags, no cruise control. Had a radio. I'm not sure if they considered that to be the deluxe version as opposed to their base model, but that's the only option I could think of that the car had that might have been above the base version of it. The car was, well, it was a 96, and at the time it was 11 years old. And even though now I drive something that's a lot older than 11 years old, I paid $900 for that car, and I needed transportation to get to school and back, and it served its purpose. It was cheap on gas, and it ran well. I spent exactly $0 on maintenance over the course of a year that I had it. I also sold that car actually for $1,400 or $1,200 or $1,400 after owning it. The only cosmetic updates I did to the car was bodywork, and living where the roads are usually covered in salt due to snow and slush and ice, they tend to, well, the rust tends to eat up the cars quite quickly. And being a Mazda, it's not the best car to withstand or fight the rust. So it started rusting quite a bit. And one of the reasons I sold it was, aside I wanted something nicer or better, I was getting worried that it would become a Flintstone style car where my seat would fall through and my feet would fall through the floor. And I sold it to a person who wanted to do something on the farm with it. Not sure what they did, but they liked it. The car ran perfectly fine. It was maintained, aside from the timing belt that was never changed. And when I sold the car, it had 275,000 kilometers. Now that timing belt was original to the 1.5 liter 16 valve double overhead cam engine that produced, I believe, a whopping 85 horse, maybe 90. And you would think it's very, very slow, and yes, the car was slow, but it was fun to drive because it did have a 5-speed. And that's one of the most impressive things I found about that car, was that 5-speed. When it was in gear, you felt like it was a welded piece of metal in gear. The shifter had no slop, no play in it. It was really nice. So that was that first car that I owned. Some of the weird things about it were all the dead switches. So where you would have controls for fog lights or air conditioning, they were all just dead buttons that did nothing. Even the steering wheel, where if you get the premium model, I guess with the safety package, that would include airbags. It would have airbags. This one was kind of just a cutout, but there was no airbag in there. And my thoughts on its driving impressions: it didn't handle the greatest. It was bouncy. Mileage maybe had something to do with it, but it was really a transportation purpose car that did not cost me much, but it did sound okay. For a little 1.5 liter, it did rev nicely, especially with the 5-speed, and it shifted really nicely. Would I ever buy one of those cars again? No, I wouldn't even think about buying it again. The other thing that it also had that was really strange on the car was the interior. And on the outside, the car was a very lame gold sand beige color, and on the interior I'm not sure if they were all like this, or if this was one of those, the deluxe features. It actually had a mint green interior. So aside from the beige and the blacks for the plastics and some, but like the seats and stuff, it was like a mint green interior that I'm not sure what they were thinking when somebody came up with that color. But anyhow, the car did fairly well for its mileage. There was no signs of stuff wearing out, or there was no real cracks and squeaks and rattles inside for its mileage. It was, well, 11-year-old Mazda at the time, and I personally think they were built better back then than they built the new ones. The new ones might be better against rust, but I find that they do tend, the newer ones, I'm talking like not the current generation but the previous generation, I find they do tend to be a little noisy and squeaky. So anyhow, that's a short video on my 96 Mazda Protege. And if anybody's ever in the market for one, I can tell you that mine lasted really nicely. It lived quite well for its 275,000 kilometers. Most of the parts were original. Some things were replaced, like spark plugs and wires, but all the mechanical components seem to have been all original, so yay for that. And tomorrow's episode, or next episode, hopefully tomorrow, depending on how things go, would be on a 2002 Chrysler Sebring. Anyhow, thanks for watching, and see you guys tomorrow.